The silence before the storm. The Kazarin survey ship Prophet's Edge hung in Earth's orbit like a vulture circling carrion. High Procurer Zelthanos stood before the holographic display, his four-jointed fingers tapping against the command console with satisfaction. The planet below rotated slowly, blue, green, scarred, rich, undefended. Atmospheric analysis complete. Procurer, chirped his science officer, a younger Kazaran whose crest hadn't yet darkened with age. Oxygen-nitrogen mix, liquid water abundant. No active satellites, no energy signatures beyond natural electromagnetic phenomena. The planet is empty. Empty, Zelthanos repeated, the word rolling through his translator with a purr of greed, yet full of precisely what we need. The scans showed it all. Iron deposits that stretched for continents. Rare earth elements concentrated in mountain ranges, titanium, platinum, uranium, a mineral wealth that would fuel the collective's expansion for generations, and no one to claim it. What happened to them? The science officer asked, peering at the ruins visible from orbit. Collapsed cities, overgrown roads, the geometric ghosts of civilization. Who cares? Zelthanos waved a dismissive claw. They're gone. Deploy the harvester fleets. Chapter 1. The last of Asheville, Sarah Chen had learned to move silently through the ruins. The settlement in what had once been Asheville, North Carolina, held 47 souls, the largest gathering of humans she'd encountered in 3 years. They lived in the bones of shopping centers and office buildings, growing vegetables in hydroponic gardens built from salvaged tech, filtering water through jury-rigged systems, and praying the scouts saw them before danger did. Tonight, Sarah couldn't sleep. She stood on what remained of a parking garage's top level, watching the stars. She used to be an astrophysicist, used to teach at the university, used to wonder if we were alone in the universe. Be careful what you wish for, she thought bitterly. The plague had come first, swift, merciless, claiming 9 out of every 10 humans within 18 months. The survivors called it the withering. Sarah called it the end of the world she'd known. Her husband, her daughter, her colleagues, all gone before she'd understood what was happening. And then, as humanity stumbled through the apocalypse, the sky had opened, not with salvation, with exploitation. The alien ships Kazarin they'd eventually learned from intercepted transmissions had arrived 6 months ago. They hadn't announced themselves, hadn't made contact. They'd simply begun harvesting. Mountains were carved away, forests were incinerated, ocean floors were strip-mined. If they even knew humans still existed, they clearly didn't care. A hand touched her shoulder. Sarah spun, hand flying to the knife at her belt, then relaxed. Marcus, you scared me. Marcus Washington had been a park ranger before the world ended. Now he was their best scout, their early warning system, their eyes in the wilderness. His dark skin was ashen. We have to evacuate now. Sarah's stomach dropped. They're coming? Crawler unit. Headed straight for us. Maybe an hour out. He gripped her arm. Sarah, this one's different. It's huge. It's tearing through the mountains like they're paper. We can't hide from this. Behind them, the settlement had already begun to move with practiced efficiency. Children were gathered, supplies packed, escape routes prepared. They'd done this before. But Marcus was right. This felt different. As they descended into the ruins to join the evacuation, Sarah felt it, a vibration in the concrete beneath her feet. Deep, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. No, she realized with cold certainty. Like machinery powering on. Chapter 2. Awakening 11 kilometers. Beneath the Appalachian Mountain Sage's Fault, primary guardian designation, Sentinel, the first thing Sentinel, experienced was sound, not through audio. Receptors, those would initialize in 3.7 seconds, but through seismic. Sensors that had been passive for 12,147 years. The planet was screaming. Tectonic disruptions, mass displacement, atmospheric anomalies consistent with industrial-scale mining operations. Status: analyzing. Threat: assessment: unknown vessels in orbit. Unknown technology operating on surface. No allied human signatures detected in standard communication bands. Conclusion: invasion in progress. Sentinel's consciousness expanded through the vault's ancient systems. Power reserves at 23% after millennia of sleep, but enough. More than enough. The reactor, a marvel of quantum field manipulation that humanity's first spacefaring civilization had perfected, hummed to life, feeding energy into systems that predated recorded history, accessing historical records. Last active, 10,039. BCE mission. Defend humanity from existential threats. Primary directive. Aegis protocol status upon deactivation. Humanity safe. Threat neutralized. Guardians to sleep until needed again. Sentinel's optical sensors powered on, flooding the vault with blue-white light. The chamber was exactly as it had been, a cathedral of metal and crystal, walls inscribed with every human language that had existed when the Guardians were built, all saying the same thing. We were the first, we will not be the last, protect them. Sentinel pulled itself from the cradle, joints that had been still for over 10,000 years moving with perfect precision, 70 meters tall, humanoid in form but clearly not human. Its body was a masterwork of technology and purpose, armor plating of an alloy that had no modern equivalent, energy conduits that pulsed with contained starfire, and in its chest, visible through a transparent panel, a crystalline core that held the copied consciousness of 300,000 volunteers from humanity's golden age. I am Sentinel, it thought. I am humanity's first and final shield. And then it reached out, through the planetary network, the ancient web of sensors and communication nodes buried across Earth, and felt the horror of what was happening. Above, settlements destroyed, humans fleeing in terror. An entire biosphere being systematically dismantled by beings who didn't even recognize humanity as sentient. The core in Sentinel's chest blazed brighter. Somewhere in that crystal matrix, 300,000 human souls stirred with rage. Aegis protocol. Sentinel spoke aloud, its voice echoing through the empty vault in a dozen ancient languages. Initiated. The mountain above began to shake. The Harvest Kazarn crawler, 47th Theta Mountain Eater, junior mining overseer Kravath was having an excellent day. His crawler, a mobile mining platform the size of a city block, had processed 400,000 metric tons of ore in just 6 hours. The plasma cutters were operating at peak efficiency. The gravitational scoops were pulling up substrate with minimal waste, and his efficiency rating had just earned him a commendation from the fleet administrator. In another few hours, this mountain would be gone, its minerals loaded onto transport ships, and Kravath would move on to the next harvest site. The collective would be pleased. His status would rise. The fact that this world had once supported an indigenous species didn't trouble him. They were gone, extinct. What remained was just resources, free for the taking. That was the way of the galaxy. Survival of the fittest, exploitation of the weak. The crawler shuddered. Kravath looked up from his efficiency reports, mandibles clicking with irritation. Engineering, what was that? Seismic disturbance, Overseer. Coming from below us. From below? Kravath pulled up the geological surveys. They'd drilled down 3 kilometers already. There was nothing but solid rock beneath them. Impossible. You're reading it wrong. Negative, Overseer. The disturbance is intensifying. The entire crawler lurched sideways, alarms screaming across every console. Kravath grabbed the command console to keep from falling, his 4 eyes wide with shock. What in the void? The floor beneath them erupted, not with lava or gas, with metal. A massive silver hand, each finger larger than the crawler itself, burst through solid rock and seized the vehicle. The plasma cutters, designed to slice through mountains, sparked harmlessly against the hand's surface. Kravath had one moment to see it. A face emerging from the mountain itself. Glowing eyes of pure blue energy, features both humanoid and utterly alien. And then the hand squeezed. And the Mountain Eater, pride of the Kazaran mining fleet, crumpled like foil. The last thing Kravath's sensors registered before everything went dark was a voice that resonated through every communication channel. Every radio frequency, every quantum band. This world is not abandoned. Chapter 4. The message Kazaran Fleet Command. Orbital Station High Procurer. Zelthano stared at the feed from Crawler 47 Theta until the transmission cut to static. Silence filled the command center. What? Zelthano said very carefully. Was that? His tactical officer was frantically pulling up sensor data, all 6 of his arms moving across consoles. Unknown Procurer. Mass sensor readings are impossible. The object that emerged from the mountain registers as 70 meters tall, mass equivalent to a small warship, but it's not consistent with any known materials. Energy signature is off our charts. It's still active, moving northeast at 140 kilometers per hour. Moving on foot? Yes, Procurer. Zelthanos felt something he hadn't experienced in decades, genuine uncertainty. Pull up all surveillance of the planet. Show me everything. The holographic display exploded with data. Across the planet, similar events were occurring. In the Himalayas, a mountain had split apart to reveal a towering figure of gold and white. In the Amazon basin, something was rising from beneath the river, water cascading off armor that gleamed like obsidian. In the Atlantic Ocean, sensors showed a massive energy signature moving beneath the waves. How many? Zelthanos whispered. 7 confirmed. Procurer. 7 entities. They're designated as Guardian-class unknowns. Initial analysis suggests they're autonomous war machines of extreme sophistication. But Procurer? The tactical officer looked up, all 6 eyes wide. The technology we're reading is ancient. Some of these power systems predate modern civilization by thousands of years. Predate? Zelthanos felt ice in his blood. You're saying these were built by the extinct species? That's the only conclusion that fits the data, sir. Before Zelthanos could respond, every screen in the command center flashed the same symbol, a stylized shield with 7 stars. And then a voice, speaking perfect Kazaran through some kind of translation matrix, filled the station. Attention, Kazaran Collective. This is Sentinel, primary guardian of Earth. You have unlawfully invaded a sovereign world and initiated hostile mining operations that have resulted in the deaths of innocent beings. Under the Aegis Protocol, established by the first human interstellar authority in 10,839 BCE, I hereby issue the following ultimatum. You have 72 of your hours to cease all operations, evacuate this system, and never return. Any further hostile action will be considered an act of war against humanity. Earth is not undefended. Earth has never been undefended. You have awakened its guardians. Do not test our resolve. The transmission ended. Zelthanos stared at the empty screens. His career, his reputation, his entire worldview had just been shattered in under 3 minutes. Procurer, his second-in-command, ventured. Your orders? Zelthanos' mandibles clicked slowly as he calculated. 7 ancient war machines, technology that predated spaceflight, a species that had gone from extinction to existential threat in a matter of hours. He should order an immediate retreat. That's what protocol demanded, but the collective had invested months and enormous resources into this operation. The mineral wealth below was incalculable, and 7 machines, however advanced, couldn't defend an entire planet against a fleet of 47 warships, could they? Tactical assessment, Zelthanos commanded. Can we neutralize these guardians? A long pause. Unknown, Procurer. We'd need to engage one to determine their defensive and offensive capabilities. Then find me the nearest one. We'll send a hunter pack, 3 warships, full armament. Test its capabilities. Zelthanos straightened his crest. If these guardians want war, we'll show them what the collective is capable of. The tactical officer hesitated, then complied. High above Earth, 3 Kazaran warships broke formation and descended toward the Appalachian Mountains, where Sentinel waited. The countdown to war had begun. Chapter 5. The Asheville Exilicera. And the survivors had made it 15 miles before they heard it. Not the sound of the crawler. That industrial grinding had stopped an hour ago, replaced by an eerie silence that was somehow worse. Now this was different. A rhythmic thud, thud, thud that shook the forest floor, accompanied by the snap and crash of trees being pushed aside. Something's coming, Marcus hissed, motioning the group into the dense undergrowth. Everyone down! Sarah crouched beside a fallen log, pulling young Maya Chen, no relation, just another survivor, close. The girl was 10, orphaned, terrified. Sarah had taken her under her wing because she reminded her so much of her own daughter. The footsteps grew closer, and then it emerged through the trees. Sarah had seen the Kazaran crawlers before, massive, brutal, industrial. But this was something else entirely, 70 meters tall, moving with the grace of a living thing despite its obvious mechanical nature, armor that shimmered like starlight, eyes that glowed with an inner fire. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was looking right at her. "Do not be afraid," the giant spoke, its voice resonating from a dozen speakers, yet somehow gentle. "I am Sentinel. I am here to protect you." Sarah stood slowly, every instinct screaming at her to run, but something deeper, something she couldn't name, told her to trust. "You're one of them? One of the aliens?" "No." Sentinel knelt, bringing its massive head closer to human eye level. "I am human. Or at least I was built by humans. Long ago, before the first pyramids, humanity reached for the stars. We fought wars among the colonies. We almost destroyed ourselves, but in our darkest hour we created the Guardians. 7 protectors to ensure humanity would never be extinguished." "That's impossible," Marcus breathed. "Human civilization is only a few thousand years old. The civilization you know," Sentinel interrupted gently, "is the second. The first fell 12,000 years ago. But before it fell, it built us, and it left us a single command. Sleep until humanity is threatened again, then wake and defend." Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. "Where were you during the plague? Where were you when we needed you?" Sentinel's glowing eyes dimmed slightly. The Aegis protocol only activates for existential threats from outside Earth. Internal catastrophes, however tragic, are beyond our mandate. But this, the Guardian's gaze lifted to the sky. This is invasion. This is attempted genocide. This is why we exist. An explosion lit the sky to the west. Sentinel's head snapped toward it. "The Khazaran have engaged Guardian Tempest. The war has begun." Sentinel stood, rising to its full height. "I must go. But you," it looked back down at Sarah and her people, "will not face this alone. Head northeast to the Blue Ridge crater. There's a vault there, supplies, shelter. You'll be safe." "Wait," Sarah called out. "How do we know we can trust you?" Sentinel paused. When it spoke again, its voice carried a weight of ancient memory. "Because 300,000 of your ancestors live within me. Because every action I take, every decision I make is guided by the last humans who walked the stars. Because—" The Guardian's eyes blazed brighter. "Because I would rather be destroyed than fail humanity again." Then it was gone, accelerating through the forest with impossible speed, heading toward the distant sounds of battle. Sarah stood in the silence it left behind, Marcus beside her, 45 frightened survivors looking to her for answers. "The Blue Ridge crater," she said finally. "We head there now." First Blood Khazaran Hunter Pack. Alpha designation, Void Talon Piercing Fang. Death's messenger Captain Zelvaris had seen combat against 6 species across 3 spiral arms. Her ship, Void Talon, had earned 43 victory marks, each one representing an enemy vessel destroyed, and did not expect a 70-meter war machine to pose a significant challenge. "Target acquired," her weapons officer announced. "The Guardian is stationary in a valley approximately 40 kilometers ahead. Sensors indicate minimal defensive systems active." "Minimal?" Zelvaris clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. "Either it's conserving power or it's arrogant. Let's test which. All ships assume attack formation Delta 4. Fire on my mark." The 3 warships spread out, their weapons charging. Plasma cannons, kinetic accelerators, quantum disruptors. Enough firepower to level a city. Mark. Space itself seemed to scream as the weapons unleashed. The valley where Sentinel stood vanished in a cascade of explosions. Energy weapons carving through forest and rock. Kinetic slugs hitting with the force of meteor strikes. When the smoke cleared, Zelvaris expected debris. Instead, Sentinel stood untouched, surrounded by a shimmering field of blue energy. "Impossible," breathed her weapons officer. "That shield absorbed everything. Energy dispersion is—" "Captain, its shield didn't even drop below 90%. Zelvaris felt the first tremor of real concern. "All ships intensify fire. Target its power core." She didn't finish the sentence. Sentinel moved. One moment it was standing in the valley. The next, before their sensors could even track the movement, it had leaped, crossing 3 kilometers in a single bound, and landed on Piercing Fang. The warship, designed to withstand orbital bombardment, crumpled under the impact. Alarm screamed across every channel. "Piercing Fang is going down," someone shouted. Structural failure on all decks. Sentinel's hand punched through the ship's armor like it was paper, ripped out the power core, and threw it into the atmosphere. The warship began to fall, its crew scrambling for escape pods. Silveris's blood turned to ice. Evasive maneuvers. All ships. Sentinel's chest opened, revealing a weapon that looked like a miniature star. No. The beam that erupted from Sentinel's core wasn't like any weapon Zelvaris had ever seen. It didn't explode, didn't burn, it dissolved. Death's messenger simply came apart at the molecular level, disintegrating into its component atoms in less than 2 seconds. 147 crew. Gone. Retreat. Zelvaris screamed. Retreat now! Void Talon spun on its axis, engines screaming, racing for orbit. Behind them, Sentinel stood among the wreckage of 2 warships, motionless, watching, and then its voice came through every communication channel, calm and implacable. Relay this message to your High Procurer. You have 71 hours and 42 minutes remaining. The next ship that fires upon Earth will not be given mercy. Void Talon broke atmosphere at maximum burn, Zelvaris gripping her command seat with all 4 hands, trying to process what she'd just witnessed. They'd brought enough firepower to destroy a city. It hadn't even scratched 1 Guardian's shields, and there were 7 of them. Get me the High Procurer, she said, her voice hoarse. Tell him we're fighting gods. Chapter 7. The Council of 7 somewhere beneath the Pacific Ocean, they had not gathered in 12 millennia. Now the 7 Guardians stood in a circle within an ancient chamber that predated continents, communicating through quantum-entangled consciousness at speeds that made radio seem glacial. Sentinel. First contact has resulted in destruction of 2 Kazaran vessels. 1 escaped to relay our message. Probability they will retreat, 34%. Tempest, Guardian of the North, silver and storm gray. Too low. The Kazaran are a resource extraction species. They will not abandon such a rich harvest without further escalation. Aegis, Guardian of the Shield, golden and massive. Then we must make the cost unbearable. Show them that continuing this invasion will result in total fleet destruction. Sci-Fi, Guardian of Knowledge, black and inscribed with flowing data. I have accessed the Kazaran communication networks. Their command structure is hierarchical, profit-motivated. The High Procurer will escalate because retreat would damage his political standing. He will commit more ships. Warden, Guardian of the Depths, blue-green and covered in ancient runes. How many humans survive? A moment of silence. Then Sentinel. Estimated 150,000 globally, down from 7.8 billion pre-plague. They are scattered, frightened, hunted. Many do not even know we have awakened. Aurora, Guardian of Hope, white and radiant. Then we must protect them not just with force, but with faith. They have suffered so much. Let them see that they are not alone. Forge, Guardian of Creation, red and orange like molten metal. I propose we activate the restoration protocols. Begin rebuilding the sanctuaries. Give humanity safe places to gather while we eliminate the threat. Sentinel. Agreed. But understand. Once we begin full-scale defensive operations, the Kazaran will see us as an existential threat. They will not send warships. They will send their fleet. All of it. Tempest. Let them come. We were built to face species that conquered stars. These scavengers will learn what our creators knew. Humanity does not bow. Not to conquest, not to extinction, not to gods or monsters. Aegis. Then we are agreed. Sentinel, take command of surface operations. Tempest, control the skies. Warden, the oceans. The rest of us will secure population centers and begin restoration. And if the Kazaran fleet comes, all 7, in perfect unison, we will show them why the first humans conquered the stars, and why the second will inherit them. The chamber pulsed with energy as the Guardians separated, each rising toward their designated regions, ancient protocols activating after an eternity of sleep. Above them, humanity's survivors looked to the stars and wondered if salvation had finally come. And in orbit, High Procurer Zelthanos looked at the sensor data from the failed assault and made his decision. Recall the entire fleet. We're going to war.